and welcome to another edition of Rail Rangers on the Road. The Midwest Rail Rangers, our 501c3 nonprofit organization, presents onboard educational programs across the upper Midwest. You may have caught us on the South Shore line between Chicago and South Bend, Indiana, aboard the Sky Parlor car at the Wisconsin Great Northern, on an Amtrak charter organized by the 20th Century Railroad Club of Chicago, on private rail excursions featuring heritage equipment, and at various outreach events such as TrainFest and Mad City Rail. In March of 2020, the coronavirus sidelined most of our programs.
A halt as train services, bus services, interstate bus services, railways, metros, they're all being stopped to break the march of the coronavirus.
After taking a few months off, we decided to come back and present virtual programs, taking you to exciting rail destinations across Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, and Wisconsin. So until we can be together again back on the trains, sit back and relax and enjoy another edition of Rail Rangers on the Road.
Welcome back. It's Sunday, August 23rd, just after 7 p.m., and we're here at the Wisconsin Great Northern Railroad for part 2 of our tour of the dinner train cars, which include the Power Car, Namakogon Dreams, and the Business Car. Let's join Robert aboard for our tour.
All right, thank you, Candace. I see you right over there, just peeking around the corner of the depot. So we're glad you're with us this evening. Again, on behalf of Wisconsin Great Northern Railroad, the Midwest Rail Rangers, and special joining us for the presentation tonight, the 20th Century Railroad of Chicago. Hello to all the folks out there, especially with the 20th Century Railroad Club, who are joining us here for the second part of this series. Look at the Wisconsin Great Northern's dinner train and bed and breakfast train. We did part 1 back on July 23rd. You might remember that. A few weeks ago with Charlie Barthold. He gave us a very in-depth tour of the Aristocrat car, which is one of the beautiful cars here on the bed and breakfast and the dinner train. And now we're going to walk through and give you a quick history of some of the other cars as well. We will also see the Aristocrat again. Charlie's back tonight, and he's going to give you a quick tour on the exterior of the car, which we didn't have time for last time. So you'll get to see a little bit of the Aristocrat as well tonight, as well as all the other cars that we didn't have a chance to see last time. So I am standing here in the what's known as the Power Car. Normally, maybe it'd be better if I just flip the camera around here. Oh, and there we go. That's a little bit better. This is looking out in our train yard, and we do have freight cars parked up and down our tracks right now, as we are storing a lot of cars because of the virus and everything. Our season, we decided not to run this season. We will be back on May 1st, 2021 here at the Wisconsin Great Northern. But to keep everything rolling, we are not just leaving the tracks empty, we are parking some of our freight cars here. But normally there would be the engine. You would walk right into the locomotive right here. So we are in the Power Car. As we mentioned, this is between the engine and the passenger cars. The car that we're in here. So normally you don't get to see this car. The Power Car here was built in 1934 for the Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Paul, and the Pacific Railroad, of course, better known as the Milwaukee Road. This was baggage car 1114. New passenger equipment was needed because the Milwaukee Road unveiled its beautiful fleet of Hiawatha's for the Chicago World's Fair. Their first Twin Cities Hiawatha ran in 1935. In 1939, the Milwaukee Road introduced a second daily round trip between Chicago and Minneapolis. And of course, the other Hiawathas, the Midwest Hiawatha, Northwoods, Chippewa, Olympian Hiawatha, and so on. And hopefully we can put up a picture here of the baggage car when it was repainted in Union Pacific's colors in the 1950s. This is this actual baggage car. For many years, the Milwaukee Road ran its own passenger trains with its own color scheme, more pumpkin orange than yellow. This was the original paint scheme for baggage car 1114. In October 1955, the Milwaukee Road entered into agreement with the Union Pacific for joint operation of the Challengers and the cities of Portland, San Francisco, Denver, and Los Angeles. As a result of the deal, the Milwaukee Road had to paint some of the cars to match Union Pacific's scheme of Armor Yellow and Harbor Mist Gray. The car we're on here, Milwaukee Road, again, 1114, was repainted and would have appeared like you are seeing on your screen right now. After the Milwaukee Road retired the car, it was used as a maintenance away car. Maybe you can see the picture of what it would have looked like there for repairing signals and tracks and bridges. And it received the numbering of Milwaukee 917201 was the car number, if you're into that kind of history. So after being acquired by the Wisconsin Great Northern, the car underwent an extensive restoration into head and power car. There's some freezers located here, but you can still see the original window and then the baggage door, which is pretty cool. Again, you can't go up in this car because it is just kind of for crew, and these are some of the freezers, and it serves as extra food storage, ravioli and all the tasty cheesecakes and all that. We keep those in here. So that is our power car, but I still love the fact that the doors kind of remain untouched, and you can definitely tell this was an old baggage car, and a lot of it's left for storage. And there's the power part of the power car. There's a couple of motors, generate all the electricity, and still you can see the other two baggage doors on this end. From the old Milwaukee Road days gone by. And there's a couple Caterpillar engines. I don't know much about engines, but those seem to do the trick here. So pretty cool to do that. I'm kind of looking back on it. Normally only staff is allowed up here, but you do kind of see what the car might have looked like back in the Milwaukee Road days. You can picture folks' luggage here and whatnot. So the next car that is part of our bed and breakfast dinner train is the Aristocrat, which, if you tuned in, we got it back dark here because we gave you a tour of this car last month. We hope you had a chance to watch our presentation back on July 26th when Charlie gave a very in-depth presentation about this beautiful car. In fact, we have Charlie standing by. He is right outside the window here. Charlie's going to tell you a little bit about the exterior because we didn't have a chance to do that last time. Charlie, take it away.
So, if you remember from July on the painting diagrams, it showed you how it was supposed to be lettered. This is the 1946 paint scheme.
Okay.
And as we mentioned in July, all of the metal inside and out was stripped to bare metal. So this whole exterior was down to bare metal. This looks like fluting like you'd think on a Bud car.
Yeah.
But it's not. This is more a pound in. So while you have the basic underneath, these sections all pound into it and are just
Oh,
held by tension.
interesting.
So that's kind of an interesting detail. And see, but even though you see some push out there, it's still good. You can come back with a rubber mallet and get that taken care of. On the exterior, on the brakes. Yeah. In '54, this was upgraded to disc brakes and got the Hyatt roller bearings. So one of the things, particularly if you're trying to move a car on CSX, these roller bearings don't work because you can't see
Oh,
the axle turning. They want to be able to see it rotating.
and with that they can't,
With
right?
this, they
Because it's
can't.
like a cap over
Right.
it. Okay, all right.
There's a cap. So yeah, that's one of the things that when you're trying to move a car, it's like, oh, I didn't realize that.
And that would be something on Amtrak. If you ever did want to put this in Amtrak service, you would have to fix that or change that, right?
So in addition to making sure the trucks are within tolerances, you'd have to change the axles
Okay.
if you were going on the CSX.
Okay.
So if you look at this side, when we did the lettering, thought we'd go with a gold leaf vinyl because gold leaf was what was specified. And so we had it cut. We found somebody to cut it, put it on, and it looks really good. You'll see what happens to gold leaf lettering when we get to the other side of the car.
Okay.
But we did add the fuel tank. The refrigerator that you saw inside has its own system right here. So this is the refrigeration unit.
Would that have been there in
That would
46?
not
No,
have
that would have been added too.
So
Okay.
the fuel tank and these lockers underneath are add-ons. And then, because when the car was originally running, it had an axle generator on it.
Okay.
Now everything has to run off of the 480. So this is the transformer that we've added to the system. But if you look at the car, if you remember the inside, the bathrooms, the electrical locker, the tavern, and then the lounge.
What was the shape? Because I remember last month you mentioned how you went to see this at an auction. What kind of shape was the exterior in? Did you have to put a lot of time and money into?
There were a lot of levels of paint
Okay.
on here.
Okay.
Because if you remember, in '54 it was repainted to the all dark blue
Okay.
scheme. Then when it went to the Purple Martin Society, they painted it purple. The all dark blue scheme had a yellow stripe running down here.
Okay.
That was a real pain to get off. David Witherspoon, in between the L&N and the Purple Martin Society, had his name up on the letterboard.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
That was another one of the clues that this really was the 3003 because it went to Witherspoon. And we saw it there. We could read the 3003 number on the letterboard.
Okay.
So when we took the paint off, there were enough layers there that we could actually read what was underneath, and so that added to the proof that this really was the car that we thought it was.
Okay.
So why don't we take a walk around to the other
All
side?
right. Let's go over. All right. We'll let Charlie get to the other side of the car here. As we cut back into the side of the car for just a minute or two, that'll give Charlie the chance to walk around the car, and there are a few more things that he wanted to show you on the other side. But if you missed our presentation in July and haven't had a chance to catch up and watch it yet, just a little bit about the Aristocrat. We went into over an hour presentation about it last month, so we're not going to go into too much of a presentation this month, but this is a car. It dates back to November of 1946. And that's when the Louisville and Nashville Railroad, of course, the L&N, purchased 4 new Tavern Lounge cars from the American Car and Foundry Company. They were built in St. Charles, Missouri. And the numbers were 3000, which was Churchill Downs, and car 3001, which was Carnival Club. And those were put into service on the Louisville and Nashville's Hummingbird train, which originally operated between Cincinnati, Ohio, and New Orleans, Louisiana. And then you had car 3002, which was the Belmead, and car 3003, which we're on right now, the Aristocrat. And those were put into service on the Louisville and Nashville's Georgia train, which ran between St. Louis and Atlanta, Georgia originally. This post-World War II order for new equipment by the Louisville and Nashville also included dining cars and 20 coaches. Sleepers were not part of that because of the original daytime schedule. So if you haven't had a chance to watch, go back and watch our July 26th presentation specifically on the Aristocrat. You definitely missed a lot. It was a really good presentation from Charlie, and he's knocking on the window over here, letting me know that he has made it around the car now and is on the other side. So let's swing it to Charlie on the other side of the car for just a little bit more on the exterior here of the Aristocrat. And then I will join you in this our 2 beautiful sleeping cars, and we'll tell you a little bit more about those.
We're on the other side of the car, and remember how good that lettering looked?
Yes.
If you look up here, you can barely read 3003.
Oh, yeah.
Even though the gold leaf vinyl is more expensive than regular vinyl, it obviously doesn't hold up as well to the sunlight. So the vinyl is there, the coloration is all gone. But this side of the car does give you the access to the lounge end, so you can move the car tables, chairs, whatever, in and out without having to go through the end of the car. And that's one of the things that makes the lounge portion of this car, pretty good, because you can change it to what you need. If you need to add some tables or want to do it, for a birthday party and you need to take some of the chairs out, I mean, it's easy to do, and you have easy access to do it. As we go along, then this car also, we added a generator to it, and if we have a problem with the rest of the train, we can power this car up, and it also has enough power that it can lend some to an adjacent car. We can't, obviously we're not designed to provide air conditioning and heating to everything, but the car can be self-contained.
Okay. So is the plans, are you going to repaint that then? You can see the L&N up there.
Absolutely.
Are you going to repaint that?
Well, and that's the, we really have to find out if the lady that did the Santa car, if she's capable of doing that sort of thing. Because, I mean, it'd really be nice to have it up there and not have it fade.
Yeah.
And, Aristocrat, I mean, if you're at the right angle, you can see it and you can feel it, but the color's all gone.
Yeah.
So that's something that would help bring the car back. The paint on this is Emron paint, so that's high-end automotive quality paint. The aluminum, which is what the fluting is and the whole exterior is. The L&N originally thought we'll just leave it aluminum and wash it every once in a while and it'll look good. Well, those in the Chicago area know how well that worked out for Amtrak when they tried that with their cars. And even if you're not from there, if you have aluminum pots and pans, you know what happens if you don't keep them washed. They become dull. So I actually painted the aluminum with aluminum Emeron paint so that it would stay good. The primary ingredient was aluminum. At the time we painted, the paint costs were running up to $300 a gallon.
Oh, wow.
Just to give you an idea of what it takes to do something like this if you haven't done it before.
Yeah.
On the other side of the car, we had the refrigeration unit. This is the air conditioning unit for the car, so the compressor's down here. And then we walked right by it because I was looking down at the generator. But as most food service cars have, you have an access door to get into the refrigeration for stocking the car so that you're not carrying stuff through the train to get to it. And this has the advantage, it's behind the bar, so you can load all of your stuff in here, and it's not going to be in sight of passengers, even if you have passengers on the train while you're boarding it. So it makes it a pretty good car. I don't think we can get back far enough to see the roof antenna, but the roof antenna is right above us,
Okay.
right here in the center of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And ventilation for the bathrooms are on the exterior of the car. So it's held up. Paint has held up really well. It's just wish the vinyl lettering worked a lot better than it did. And so sometimes the most expedient way isn't always the best way. So.
Well, before we move on to the two sleepers, my last question is, what was your personal interest in trains? We didn't have a chance last month to talk about that. You were a news photographer, award-winning news photographer for many years for NBC. What got your interest in trains? Why did you do this? Was it something to like relieve stress on the weekends, or were you always interested in trains since you were a little kid, or what's your backstory a little bit?
Always been interested in trains. Grew up through fourth grade in the St. Louis area, and there's a suburban station, the Delmar station on the Wabash, which wasn't far from home. So my father and I would go down there on Saturday mornings to watch trains. I had the Lionel train sets. In fact, those trains are still with me up here. So we had relatives down in southwestern Missouri, so we'd ride the Frisco going down there. One time we actually did a Mopac to Kansas City Southern, because Kansas City Southern and Frisco crossed. So it's just always kind of been an interest in trains. Why actually getting the car and doing this? That's a good question. Why does anybody do anything? You get your boat. Well, did you grow up with a boat, or but you don't grow up with a train car. People grow up with automobiles, so it's just a bigger variation of an automobile. So it's kind of neat. Learned a lot. Spent a lot of time on it, and hope people really enjoy themselves while they're riding it.
All right, thank you so much, Charlie, for giving us a look at the exterior of the Aristocrat. As we mentioned, it is an absolutely beautiful car. Again, if you hadn't had a chance to watch the presentation we did on July 26th, that goes into the in-depth history of the car, definitely check it out on our Midwest Rail Rangers YouTube channel. We have that up there. And come and check us out. Even if you just do the dinner train here, when we start up service again on May 1st, 2021 at the Wisconsin Great Northern, you can come and check out the beautiful lounge area on the Aristocrat. So let's, we're going to flip the camera around again. And as we flip the camera around again, there we go, we will be leaving the Aristocrat. And we're going to be walking through one of our food service cars. This is a former Amtrak car, one of their heritage diner cars. You can kind of see here. This is, if you stay overnight on the bed and breakfast train, this is probably where you'll, the buffet breakfast is usually served to everybody on the car. As you can see, the Wisconsin Great Northern has done beautiful work, beautiful woodwork. Bob and Brian, some of our other wonderful people, have really put a lot of time into making this a true first-class experience. Nothing but the best at the Wisconsin Great Northern for you. But this is typically where passengers who sleep in our sleepers will come and have their breakfast. We usually put a light breakfast out for them in the morning, and then later on in the morning, mid-morning, there's a full breakfast. Last year when we got to eat on here, it was some wonderful egg dish, some railroad French toast, some fruit, some croissants, things like that. Get to eat your breakfast before you pack up and head out. And now if you'd watched our first presentation, the very first presentation we did in June on the Sky Parlor car, I hope you got to see that as well. That is parked right out here. A former Amtrak Pacific Parlor car, and probably my favorite car on the property, so I have to give it a little bit of a shout out. But if you haven't had a chance to watch that either, definitely go and check that out. But back to our main focus here, which is the our bed and breakfast and our dinner train. And this is where the usually we'll serve you the breakfast here. This is an old buffet car. And again, usually you'll have a friendly server here in the morning serving you breakfast. And you can still see some of the Amtrak, even though we put the new woodwork in here, you can see some of the original Amtrak paneling there from the 80s still abounds. We'll take one last look through this car. We won't do much history on this one, because I want to make sure we save time for the really beautiful cars here. So this is one of our two sleepers. This car is our Sleeper Deluxe Namakagon Dreams. And this is the lounge area of the car that you're looking at. This was originally built, a little history for you, in November and December 1949 for the Atlantic Coastline Railroad. It was called Puente Verde Beach, but it did not have a reporting number of all things. So we gave you the numbers of some of the other cars, but this, including the Milwaukee Road baggage car, which was our power car, and the Aristocrat, but this didn't have one originally. It was one of 6 double-bedroom buffet cars with 24-seat lounge constructed by the American Car and Foundry Company for the Atlantic Coastline's Florida trains. The sister car for this one is Puente Verde Beach. Includes Myrtle Beach, Pascagoula Beach, Sea Island Beach, Virginia Beach, and Wrightsville Beach. This car, Puente Verde Beach, was originally assigned to the fleet of cars used on the Champions and the winter-only Florida special trains on the Atlantic coastline. The Champion traveled south from New York City's Penn Station via Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Richmond, Charleston, Savannah, and Jacksonville. The train would split in two in Jacksonville, with the West Coast Champion proceeding to St. Petersburg, Florida. The East Coast Champion terminated in Miami. The Florida Special was a New York to Miami train that would cover the route in just over 24 hours period of time. We have a couple ads for you that we'll continue showing to you here from the Atlantic Coastline. On July 1st, 1967, the Atlantic Coastline Railroad merged with the Seaboard Airline Railroad to form the new Seaboard Coastline Railroad. The combined system of tracks now totaled more than 9,800 miles, making it the 8th largest railroad company in the United States at the time. The Seaboard Coastline had $1.2 billion in assets and revenue with a 54% market share in the Southeast. Its primary competitors remain the Southern Railway. The car we're on now, Point Averta Beach, was assigned a car number under the Seaboard Coastline. It was number 6605. On May 1st, 1971, Amtrak took over passenger rail service on most of the routes across the country, including those that belonged to the Seaboard Coastline. Point Averta Beach, still in a 6 double-bedroom buffet lounge car configuration, was sold to Amtrak. It was renumbered as car 3225, but still retained its original name. In the late 1980s and the early 1990s, new sleepers and lounge cars were put into use on Amtrak. That meant much of the heritage equipment, pushing 40 years old at this point, was no longer needed. Much of it, like Point Averta Beach, was put up for auction to private individuals and groups who were looking to purchase rail equipment of their own. Point Averta Beach ended up in the hands of the Great Lakes and Western. The GL&W was made up of a group of Wisconsin businessmen who owned private railroad cars as a hobby and decided to turn them into a business. While the cars in the fleet they amassed remained owned by individuals in limited partnerships, the group formed a corporation to operate the cars and trains for excursions and rolling business conferences. The GL&W is based in Mukwonago, Wisconsin, located southwest of Milwaukee. A tab for a one-day charter in 1993 round trip between Schiller Park near Chicago and Waukesha near Milwaukee would set you back about $17,000. The GL&W operated charters on the back of Amtrak trains and even made an operating agreement to run special trains over the Wisconsin Central on its 2,000 miles of regional lines between Chicago and Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada. The car was painted for the GL&W, however, the Chicago Northwestern's gold and green. It was renumbered GLW Car 3225. The car was purchased by Greg and Mardell Vreeland, owners of the Wisconsin Great Northern Railroad, in 2010 for use on the railroad's famous bed and breakfast train. The car featured 6 bedrooms and a lounge area for a number of years when it first operated. However, it underwent an extensive rebuild in 2018 and 2019 to feature just 3 rooms that are now large enough for a queen bed and private bathroom facilities. The lounge area, which you're looking at right now, was also redone with wood paneling and a fireplace. So we're going to take a look around here, and what's really beautiful is this lounge. And you can feature the tables here. So this was the buffet area of the car historically. So it was relatively gutted out. It kind of looked like the cafe car that we showed you. But this gives everybody a chance to either have a lounge seat or they can sit at the table. And this is exclusive to the bed and breakfast train. So you have to do the overnight experience to get to ride on this beautiful car. You have plenty of seats, whether you want to sit at the table or sit at the big comfy chairs. Early in the morning, if you're up before the breakfast service, they have some pastries and coffee and juice that they put out here. So if you're an early riser, that's okay too. You can enjoy some of that. This is one of my favorite features. This is the railroad map of Wisconsin from 1874. And got this framed. There would be Chicago would be down there. So that's where most of you are right now if you're live watching this in Chicago area. And then Kenosha, Racine, and Milwaukee. Milwaukee being right there. We are all the way up here. In fact, we're in Washburn County, which did not even quite exist back in those days. So we would be right about in this area. And this tracks didn't even exist back then either. So pretty cool. You can see how the southeast area of the state of Wisconsin had a lot of railroads and even the southwest part was starting to be developed, but how the area where we are here in northern Wisconsin is very sparse, a lot of woods, and didn't really even have a lot of railroads. There was this one proposed railroad line shooting almost direct from center part of the state up to Duluth. So indulge me for a minute there. I am a registered map geek and put in this beautiful fireplace, which is just so cozy, especially in the winter time. So let me take you a look, and these are the bedroom compartments and here down the hallway. We're taking you in one of the bedrooms, and we said this used to be 6 Some you might have rode on this car in previous years. And what we decided to do is people were asking for more and more space. So we've decided to combine the bedrooms. We took all of them out and we made what was 6 bedrooms into just 3, which allows us to put a nice big bed in there. And here's an example of the wonderful accommodations that you will get to experience if you sleep on the Wisconsin Great Northern. Probably about the biggest bed you're going to ever get on the train. And look how lovely this is made up here. Plenty of room for 2 people. And like I said, when this used to be the size of 2 rooms, and then we now combined it into one big room. And we also got rid of the bunks. If you notice, no bunks anymore. They used to, if you came here on the bed and breakfast train, you might have had to sleep in the upper and lower bunks. We no longer do that. Everybody gets a nice deluxe lower bed on this car, on the Namakagon Dreams. So a lot of people do prefer these bigger rooms and the bigger beds. And of course you have your own washroom here and your own shower, so you don't have to share with anybody else, which is wonderful to have your own bathroom as well. And it's kind of fun, because if you like to go to bed early, you go to bed early. If you're a night person, well, you could go back into the, we have a lot of people who go back into the lounge area and meet other travelers and play cards or have a cocktail, whatever you want to do. And some people are early risers, well, then they go out there, maybe read the newspaper, get caught up on everything. But I just love these beds. I just love how big they are. And I don't think I've ever seen a bigger bed on a train before. I don't think you can even get a king bed on a train. So you are definitely riding in luxury, riding in comfort, and even you have sweet dreams of trains, because we have train pictures up in all the rooms for you rail fans. So if you've never been on the bed and breakfast train here up in Trego and Spooner, Wisconsin here, boy, you don't know what you're missing. You're going to come up and make your reservations for 2021. Get that in there. It's going to be a busy hopping year. People are going to want to come back to this, but the beds are just so comfy, and boy, this is just a fun experience. And sometimes we do get, one of the questions we get is, well, is the train moving all night? So I figure we're going to do a little Q&A on that. So I should answer that now. So the beds do not, the train does not move overnight. So basically you board at about 5 o'clock. If you're in our sleeper, you settle into one of your 3 rooms in this car, or the our fancy business car, which will take you in here in just a minute. So kind of how it works is you'll board about 5 o'clock, get settled in, maybe have a cocktail about 5:30. We take off on our, the schedule is you take off on our ride at 5:30, and you go for about a 2.5 hour ride, and you get back to the depot at 8 o'clock. Now at 8 o'clock at night, the people who just come for the dinner train will get off and head home or wherever they're headed out to. And then when they get off the train, all the people who are in the sleeping cars get to remain on the train. You don't have to leave, obviously, at 8 o'clock. At that point, you can go sit in the Aristocrat car, the Charlie car, which we show you a little bit earlier. You can go back to your room and have a hang out in there. Or you can hang out in the lounge car with the area of the car with the fireplace. So a lot of options. And in the summer, too, there's the, or even in the winter, I guess, we have a little fire pit out there. People enjoy sitting outside our depot. And your cars are out there, too, so you have access. If you forget something, you're not stuck out somewhere. You can run back to your car at any point and night. So you get a good night's sleep, and you're about 8 in the morning, breakfast is being served, and you have until 10 o'clock to spend some more time in the lounge or see more areas of the train if you haven't had the chance to do that. So that's one of 3 rooms in this car. So basically it's just you and at most 2 other couples. Basically the most people who are ever going to be in this car is 6 people. So think of that. You have this whole beautiful car for just you, and at most 2 other couples would be sharing this car, which is pretty cool. It's almost pretty close to having your own private car. And, the closer you are to the fringe season, the spring or late fall or winter, depending on when we're running, kind of those off-peak, maybe even middle of the week, good time to go, we always say, because we've run this where it's only had one couple had the whole entire car. They just got lucky. So, but it's never very crowded, and, when it comes back to the age of we got to ride trains and still maybe social distance, this is a good way to go, because you almost have just a whole train car to yourself, and there might be 4 other people at most on here. So beautiful train paintings here, or photographs, I guess. And there is boy, that looks like the Pioneer Zephyr to me. Gotta love the Zephyrs. I love that photo. So that is our deluxe sleeper, and this is our other sleeper. We'll take you in there. This is we're about to go in the Ellen L. Vreeland car, and this was a former Santa Fe business car. It was built by Pullman in 1914. So this is our more historic car, and let's head in there. And this brings up the rear most car of the train. And honestly, if I had to pick, this is probably one of my favorites. I like the Aristocrat, and I like the Deluxe Sleeper, but this is pretty cool. If you wanna travel like a real rail baron, this is the way to go. This is what the president of the railroad, this is what the top executives of the railroad, this is what they would be traveling around. Oh, look, you can see me in the mirror there, giving you your live tour up here at the Wisconsin Great Northern. And this is the dining area. Again, exclusive dining area. This is really, really cool. And I'll let you look at, just let you enjoy the view of this beautiful table here in the buffet area. Well, I tell you a little bit of history on the car, if you indulge me for just a few minutes here. This car was built as Santa Fe car 3217. It was built as a heavyweight parlor observation car. And if we have a picture, we could try to throw that up there. Now, Pullman never sold their sleeping cars. Instead, railroads like the Santa Fe leased them and handed over the premium they charged passengers for the luxury ride. This means the parlor observation car that we're standing in and checking out right now, 3217, was never actually owned by the Santa Fe directly. Pullman retained full ownership despite the car being specifically painted for use on the Santa Fe. In 1914, the year the car was built, the Santa Fe was operating over 10,900 miles of railroad in the western United States. On December 31st, 1948, the federal government antitrust action went into effect, mandating that Pullman separate its car manufacturing from its actual car operations. This resulted in Pullman having to sell off its entire fleet of cars to the railroad on which they operated. Santa Fe 3217, the parlor observation car that we are on, and we are happy to show you this evening up here at the Wisconsin Great Northern. This was about 34 years of age on it at that point, and the Santa Fe really had enough newer cars. So the railroad actually decided to pass on their option from having Pullman purchase it. Instead, the car was sold off to the Seaboard Airline, which ended up rebuilding it and using it as their business car. It was called Birmingham. And there we go. We'll lighten that up a little bit for you. It was primarily used as the private car of the company president. The Seaboard Airlines main line ran from Richmond, Virginia, via Raleigh, North Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia, down to Jacksonville, Florida, a major interchange point for passenger trains bringing travelers to the Sunshine State. From Jacksonville, Seaboard Rails continued over to Tampa, St. Petersburg, West Palm Beach, and Miami. Other important points on the Seaboard included a line from Jacksonville via Tallahassee to a connection with the Louisville and Nashville Railroad at Chattahoochee, Florida, for through service to New Orleans, a line to Atlanta, Georgia, and Birmingham, Alabama, connecting with the main line at Hamlet, North Carolina, and a line also from North Carolina to Portsmouth, Virginia. Our records indicate that in 1953, the Seaboard Airline renamed this car Southland. The Southland was a night train that operated between Chicago's Union Station. Hello, everybody with the 20th Century Railroad Club watching us in Chicago. Another shout out to you guys tonight. And different points in western and eastern Florida. The main operator was the Louisville and Nashville Railroad. However, the Seaboard was one of the pooling partners providing some of the coaches. In July 1967, the Seaboard Coastline Railroad was born from a merger between the two parallel lines on the eastern seaboard, the Atlantic Coastline and the Seaboard Airline. The business car here, Southland, was thus transferred to the new railroad, where it retained its name and continued to be used by railroad executives and other company officials when traveling or entertaining clients. The resulting merger produced a railroad line nearly 10,000 miles long. In 1971, the Seaboard Coastline sold off Southland to the Autotrain Corporation, which renamed the car number 1, Ronnie, spelled R-O-N-N-I. Ronnie Fast Garfield was the wife of Autotrain founder Gene Garfield. The car was repainted in the Autotrain Corporation colors, as hopefully we can punch that up for you as well. Photo of that right now. The Autotrain Corporation was privately owned, and they would carry automobiles down to Florida, either from Washington, D.C. or Louisville, Kentucky. They loaded the cars onto auto carriers while passengers enjoyed the trip on private cars, or private passenger cars. Surprisingly, the Autotrain became quite popular during the 1970s, an era when the public had seemingly lost its interest in regular rail travel. The car continued to be used as a business car by railroad executives when they traveled. When not in use, car Ronnie, Autotrain number 1, could be rented out by the passengers. So imagine having the chance to, enjoy this beautiful car. So you're just hoping the president wasn't on your train, I guess, so that you could enjoy it. We found a report from 1979 for $1,500, and this is, of course, back in those days. Would get you a round-trip ride in the car, including transportation for 6 and 2 automobiles, and including a ride here on the private car. Unfortunately, the Autotrain Corporation attempted to expand its business too quickly, and the enterprise collapsed during the 1980s. The Ronnie was auctioned off in December 1981 for around $75,000, with Dick Surratt being the highest bidder. At the time, he owned the Jefferson Cold Storage Company in Jefferson, Wisconsin. Mr. Surratt named the car for his wife, the Diane Marie. Not a bad way to go. I'm sure she appreciated the car being named after her. That is quite an honor. The car's new number 12881, was the date it was purchased at auction, December 8th, 1981. The car was also given the number PPCX, number 800070, when it ran on Amtrak. The Surratts originally intended to use Diane Marie as a stationary car. However, once they discovered what good shape it was in, they quickly brought it up to Amtrak standards. This way it could be chartered out and used on the back of regularly scheduled passenger trains across the country. We have reports that they would entertain clients and also for their own personal use, as you can see with the beautiful dining room here. One of the Surratts' first private car trips took place in 1982 between Chicago and White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, which is, of course, on the route of the Cardinal. After almost 30 years of use by the Surratts, the car was purchased by the Wisconsin Great Northern Railroad in 2011 for use as a bed and breakfast train. The Wisconsin Great Northern originally kept the Diane Marie name on the car for its first few years, so maybe you rode in this car. However, it was renamed WGN number 1, Allen L. Vreeland, after the passing of Allen Vreeland, the father of railroad owner Greg Vreeland. This is a strict railroad tradition that passenger cars should only be named after the folks who are deceased. So, again, you can see the beautiful car here. Sometimes they play a little bit of music. They do have a nice buffet here as well, where they put out some breakfast for the early risers. And you can see the beautiful table with the flowers. Just waiting for you to come and ride and wait for us to reopen there. Say hi to you. Hi. Well, let's go take a look at what the rooms look like. They are, being a 1914 business car, and they are a little bit smaller than our deluxe sleeper Namakagan Dreams, but not by much. They are quite comfortable. Beds are a little bit smaller, but still, definitely could fit 2 people here. And none of the bunks either. Those are gone on our. Those are now a thing of the past. So if you ever rode that on a bed and breakfast train, we no longer, how long you have to climb in the top bunks. So this is a look at what one of the rooms here made up looks like. Absolutely beautiful. Hope you come out and ride with us. We even have a chest and a mirror. And there's what one of the bathrooms looks like. So, first class sleeper, first class room number 1. So if you like this one, and you can request the first class sleeping car here. I love the history in here. I love the old drawers and just the history of these cars. So there's 3 bedrooms in here as well. So as you can kind of gather, right now we only have 6 sleeper cars. Rooms, not 2 sleeper cars, but 6 rooms, and so these do fill up usually months in advance. So if you think about coming, now would be the time to do it. And as you can see here, we have 3 identical rooms as we go down the hallway. We got to show you make sure we have time for the lounge here. I mean, we're getting kind of short on time here, but this is one of the most beautiful areas just to sit back here. And you have to be in the first class sleeper to enjoy the back of the train. So if you want the bigger beds and with the fireplace and the more modern car, make sure you request our deluxe sleeper Namakagan Dreams. If you're looking for more of history, riding a 1914 Santa Fe business car, well, then request our first class car. And then with that first class car, the beds are slightly smaller, but you do get this lounge at the back of the train, and then the real treat is you get to ride on the open platform, which I'll show you in just a minute. And that's where we'll kind of wrap up our tour. But hi again. There's a lot of mirrors on here. But this is beautiful. People love sitting back here in the evening, talking with their fellow travelers, they went with their spouse or family members or parents. Maybe I always love having people take their parents on a trip like this because, it brings back a lot of memories of when they were a kid. Beautiful lounge area. I could just sit here. I'm gonna sit here for a minute. Ugh. So picture that. Picture, having some hors d'oeuvres and a cocktail back here. Meeting some of your fellow travelers here. Beautiful scenery of Northwest Wisconsin going by your window. Not a bad deal. Fun way to spend a weekend. Absolutely. If you've never come up here, pretty darn cool. So, I guess we should flip the camera around here. All right, there. It looks like we got the camera flipped around, and as you can see behind me is the back of the L&R Vreeland car that we were just showing you a few minutes ago. And of course, the best feature, we saved the best for last year on our 2-part tour of the Wisconsin Great Northern's bed and breakfast dinner train here. And this is the back platform, as you can see here. Boy, this is one of my favorite spots to hang out here on a beautiful day. Here it is in late August. A little steamy, but got a little bit of a nice breeze going on. Good time of the year to kind of hang out here on the back platform. This is an exclusive back platform here for the customers who choose to go on the first class, the L&R Vreeland. Again, you won't have more than 6 people, usually 3 couples, 6 people, and max will be on the car. So plenty of room to hang out here on the back platform and enjoy the views. Again, this is something you can't do on Amtrak anymore on a private car. They prohibited this from a few years ago from riding on the back of a platform. So if you want to feel like one of the presidential candidates and wave to everybody off the back platform here, well, you got to come do it on the Wisconsin Great Northern, because you can do it here. So you can see that's our train yard out back here. And I hope you have enjoyed a look at the cars that we got to show you. We started off in the power car, and then we walked through the Aristocrat briefly, and Charlie gave us a look at the inside and out. And from there we took you through the kitchen car, through our premium sleeper car, the Namakogan Dreams, and then we wrapped up here with the Ellen Vreeland sleeping car, former Santa Fe 1914 heavyweight car. So hope you enjoyed the tour, and I hope you come out. As you mentioned, we are closed for the season due to the situation we're all dealing with right now. We hope to be back. Scheduled to be back May 1st of 2021. We'll be celebrating our 25th anniversary here at the Wisconsin Great Northern. We got a lot of exciting things that we are planning for next summer. So, as soon as the reservations come online, keep an eye on the website, www.spoonertrainride. That's all one word, spoonertrainride.com, for the 2021 dates, and make your bookings. And we look forward to seeing you out here. So we are wrapping it up. Special thanks to those of the 20th Century Railroad Club who are joining us tonight. If you want to see some of our other presentations that we have scheduled coming up, you can check out our website at www.railrangers. That's all one word, www.railrangers.org. And if you want to help support us, we have Railroad Route Guide, books, ebooks, podcasts, all that good stuff. Those are on our store website, www.midwestrails, all one word, midwestrails.com. So let's check out those three websites. And we're going to go before the sun goes down. Since we're nearing close up on 8 o'clock, let's go ahead and send it back to Candace for some final words over in front of the depot around the corner here.
Thank you for joining us here at the Wisconsin Great Northern. Join us Sunday, September 13th at 7 p.m. Central for a tour of the old CD&Q depot located in Mount Pleasant, Iowa.
Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of Rail Rangers on the Road. To learn more about the Midwest Rail Rangers, our 501c3 nonprofit organization, simply log on to www.railrangers.org. That's www.railrangers.org. And if you're interested in planning your own trip, you can also purchase one of our Railroad Route Guide books, ebooks, or MP3 podcasts at the Midwest Rail Rangers store, conveniently located at www.midwestrails.com. That's www.midwestrails.com. Until our next program, have a great day.